Alright guys, welcome back to another edition of Raw Intuition Inside Scoop. We've got another amazing weight loss story for you, and this interview is a little different. We've actually got 3 guests, and they're all siblings, and they have shown an amazing testimony to the plant-based diet. And so we've got them here tonight. It is Cassie, Dustin, and Josh LaJaunie, and they're down in Louisiana representing the plant-based diet. So we've got them here to share their story of weight loss on a plant-based diet, as well as any other positive benefits they've seen. So guys, thank you very much for joining the channel and sharing this amazing transformation with us.
Yeah, no problem, man. Pleasure.
All right, so basically, what I saw in your before and after picture was you guys have lost over or around 500 pounds between the 3 of you. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what was it that attracted you to the plant-based diet?
Well, that's a long story, right? I guess I was the one that brought it to the family, and I got to the plant-based diet through adopting running as a thing I wanted to be and get better at. I sort of picked up running early on in my weight loss story, and just really fell in love with the community and fell in love with the idea of achieving and getting better at it and all of these different things, which just led me to drill down into running. And I learned of Scott Jurek through a book called Born to Run, which, my love of running led me to that book, right? And then so from there it was Scott Jurek and Brendan Brazier and Rich Roll and Forks Over Knives, and next thing you know, I'm like a full-on, plant-based runner, and I'm feeling really good. I had already lost some weight, about 100 pounds or so, and when I transitioned there, I felt really good, and I was learning a lot of stuff about the health implications of a plant-based diet. So it just felt really responsible of me to urge, especially my mom, along in adopting a plant-based diet as well, because she was helping to feed my grandfather at the time, and all of the things I was reading about cardiovascular disease and all. It just felt like the right thing to do, not just for me to lose weight or for all of us to lose weight. Felt like the right thing for us to be doing as a pragmatic family who has suffered through some, family members going away too early due to chronic disease, whether they go away due to death or go away due to mental, losing mental capacity. Right. And we had tried everything in the world to lose weight. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's sort of how we got there. Is I kind of, brought it to the table, to the family, and everybody has kind of just sort of, latched on, and as they felt better and better and better on a plant-based diet, it's kind of grown, and it's just been a cool thing.
Awesome. So how has that helped your mother as well?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Our entire family.
The whole family. Like, Mom has lost 100 pounds as well.
Wow.
And we, now we do plant-based Thanksgiving and Christmas, Super Bowl parties, we get together, and it's like, it's all good. Like, it's no big deal. There's none of that, none of those
we don't
pressures.
Gain 10 pounds at holidays anymore.
Right, yeah.
Or vacation.
Yeah. These family gatherings aren't scary like they are to so many other people, because I hear, holidays. It's like, well, in my family, it's okay, is we all on board, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that is neat. It's rare, actually. It seems like most people feel alienated because, most families, they don't all switch over like yours clearly has, and that's awesome. So that's a great example of, doing it together and just how successful you can be when you've got that support.
That's correct. Yeah. That makes all the difference in the world as far as the sustainability, to be able to have that nucleus of loved ones around you that see what you see, get it, and are doing the thing with you as well. And
Yeah.
not only does it give you a healthier family to enjoy, but it also makes your life easier as a plant-based eater.
Gives you a good platform.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you mind me asking what you were at your heaviest weights?
Yeah, sure. I was around 420.
Okay.
I was about 330.
Okay.
And I was about 425. I'm pretty sure I got over that, but I wasn't brave enough to look at the number until I was around 425.
Sure.
But I was,
Wow.
It would be safe to say plus.
Yeah. I think Dustin was up there closer to 440, 450. Just looking at some of those old pictures is like, wow, I didn't realize he was that big. I didn't realize I was that
Well, when
big.
the whole unit is that big, it's
Right.
kind of hard to realize because that was the normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we've changed the normal, so it kind of makes it easier because we've changed our whole group's normal. So it's just different, and it's it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so do you guys practice a certain form of a plant-based diet, like just a whole foods plant-based diet, or do you do like 80-10-10 or like a
No, just
nutritarian?
real general, the basic way to, we're a whole food plant-based diet based on what we've learned from Esselstyn and Caldwell and Greger and Garth Davis, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Whole food plant-based, and we no added oil and no added sugar, and we try to avoid processed foods. Those things obviously creep into your protocol from time to time, but as long as you keep them like immaterial to the whole, and really keep the bulk of your dietary choices within that whole food plant-based no oil category, especially no oil, then it's hard to mess up.
Yeah. Yeah, so did any of you go through any sort of like a detox, healing crisis or anything like that?
Well, I did in the very beginning. I tried a juice fast because I had watched Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and I wasn't really on board with a plant-based diet yet. So my diet was still heavily paleo up until that time. So looking back, I know now I had a whole bunch of stuff in my guts with no fiber to get it out. And I go on a 3-day juice fast, and I felt terrible. I felt like I had the flu after about 2 days, you know. And I know now that I was detoxing big time, but it was just misery to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna eat some food. I'm gonna just eat this plant-based diet instead of doing this juice fast, because I was fully thinking I was gonna go for a week or something. And,
Yeah.
But other than that, no. It's just been a pretty smooth transition for me as far as the food is concerned. Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, there were things that I probably held on to. Like, I kind of, like, got rid of stuff. I mean, the meat went away quickly now, seafood and stuff like that. The cheese the dairy went away. Cheese, I would hang on to very, very, seldom, but I would still go back so, but, as I, continued on, I just started giving up those things more and more until you just don't really even miss it anymore.
Right.
Just starting to be conscious, just being conscious of it, and then living the life of constantly tweaking and learning and cleaning it up and trying to put logic to the science and understanding and just be factual and not lie to yourself about what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And then move a little bit and sweat a little bit, and work. I don't have it figured out, but I've dropped 170 pounds, and I'm still tweaking. I'm still learning. I'm still educating myself, and I enjoy the challenge of creating dishes without butter and cream and bacon, because it's easy to make anything taste good with butter and cream and bacon.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's just make something palatable that also doesn't cause heart disease and other inflammatory problems.
Yep.
And because that isn't I used to only eat food because of how it tastes.
Right.
Now I like the taste as well, But I understand it's more than the taste. It's also what is it giving me? What is it doing to my body? What is the outcome going to be? How long is it going to stay in me? Does it make me acidic or alkaline? Everything. And it's just being aware, conscious of what I'm eating and how it's going to affect me. It's pretty much, that's it.
So have you guys noticed your tastes change?
Yes,
was it different in the beginning than it is now?
Oh yeah, there's like a handful of foods I could name right off the top of my head that I've historically hated my entire life that now I crave from time to time.
And the reverse too. Things that I love that I don't even,
I think
remotely want anymore.
I think dairy is a big one, in my opinion.
Yes, because I
just
love
from
dairy.
the facts and just from how much I loved it
Yeah.
and how I understand that life is outside of dairy. There is a life outside of dairy. And dairy is a big one to cut. I think once you cut the ties with dairy, I think a lot of things can kind of open up for your taste buds, your gut, and a lot of things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so can you give an example of maybe like what a typical day is for eating for you guys? And do you find that you eat more now than you used to and you still lose weight?
I don't know if I would say that I eat more, but I don't, it's not considerably less.
Okay.
Right.
Right? So you're not starving yourselves.
For sure.
Right, definitely. And then, so that's been a transition. Like, so in the beginning, of course, I could eat a lot of food and still lose weight in a whole food plant-based diet. But then there's also some, some quantity issues, even in a whole food plant-based diet, that are ill-advised quantities, really, like of nuts and, just different things, grains and different types of things. And it's not really a free-for-all on those foods. So you learn to eat sensibly, even within a plant-based diet. And so you wind up, I don't know if you ever hear Chef AJ talk about caloric density or anything, but we're animals that are meant to eat about 3 to 5 pounds of food per day.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're meant to do. So I feel like I still eat around that overall weight of food per day. It's just the calories that are in that weight, in that given 3 to 5 pounds, is drastically different. It's just drastically different.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know a lot of people think that, kind of like you were pointing out before, people think that you can't make tasty plant-based meals. So do you guys have like a favorite meal that you go to or any like staple things that you find help you, just especially...
For me is beans and greens and potatoes is always a main. I'll keep roasted potatoes or whole roasted potatoes in the refrigerator just as a go-to snack. A pot of beans is always cooked in my refrigerator. That way it's a go-to. Beans on a big pile of greens and heat it up is good. Rolled oats in the morning with some frozen fruit mixed in it. But a lot of potatoes and beans is my go-to.
And this time of year, my mom has a sort of adapted a gumbo recipe to be a plant-based, no oil added gumbo recipe. And so that's a favorite of ours. I know she's, when it gets cold, and 42 degrees is cold for us.
Man, I
So
wish
it's
it
good,
was
what we would call gumbo weather right now.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So I know you said you're into running. So what role would you say exercise played in your weight loss versus diet? Do you think?
I think my diet enabled me to exercise.
Right.
In the way I do.
I think that's a beautiful
So
way to
I
put
think it has everything to do with it.
Yeah. If I had to apply a percentage to it, that as far as an overall percentage of how much food is responsible for where I am today versus my running, I would say it's probably 80% plants is why I am where I am, because I think eating that way, in a good clean way, it just brings you closer and closer to that authentic human default. And then you just get sucked in by the gravity of being a human being, and you kind of can just fall to that authentic human version of yourself. And running is part of that. Running is part of that. And it's running got me to the plants, right? So in a lot of ways, running does deserve a star role. But at the same time, the food, I'm speaking from a position of a person who has been kind of without running for the past 6 months because I've been dealing with an injury, right? Yet my food is fine. Yeah. Okay. And so I haven't gained more than, say, 5 pounds in 6 months of hardly any running at all. And a lot of being depressed and sad about not running and, bad mindset. And so you seek those calorically dense foods that are still technically whole food, plant-based, and not oil, and as those sort of salves for some of the moods and sad places you find yourself in from time to time in life. But those things are a far cry from where I used to be. So in that sense, why I am where I am and the reason I know I'm going to stay where I am is because of the food. And so that's a big one for me.
Sure. Mentioning like emotional and mental health, have you guys seen a shift in that as well since going on a plant-based diet and losing the weight?
Yes,
absolutely.
Sure. Yes.
I personally was on 3 different medications. I was on a high blood pressure medication, I was on a acid reflux medication, and I was on an antidepressant medication.
Okay.
And eating better, I believe, got my chemistry better, and it enabled me to, and made me, not only did it enable me, but it also made me want to exercise. And by doing the exercise, I believe made me feel better by just sweating and breathing and getting all that old oxygen out and being able to exert some of that energy that would build up otherwise when I was eating the standard American diet. So, yeah, absolutely. I say, yeah, it did help.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So, what advice would you guys give somebody that's like looking, maybe they're dealing with weight issues, or if they're just dealing with any sort of health issues and they're considering a plant-based diet, but they just don't kind of know where to start? What would you say was the most helpful for you in the beginning as far as just learning how to do it and just making it practical for you?
I don't know about you guys, but for me, a good go-to resource for a newbie, for someone who's considering it. First of all, if you're considering, don't consider too damn long. Don't get hung like a deer in the headlights. Like, do some experimentation, do some doing. The information does you no good without action. So that would be a big point of emphasis for me is do. Like, it doesn't matter that you don't have it all figured out yet. Just do it. That's going to help you figure it out in a more thorough way than what you could ever do in the abstract. But a good resource in the beginning is Forks Over Knives, I think, is a great place to start because you learn of a lot of the doctors, like the Neil Barnards, the Dr. Esselstyns, the Dr. Caldwell, and then you can drill further down into each one of their areas of expertise and learn more from them and their TED Talks. And then there's a cookbook associated with Forks Over Knives, and then, you can learn about, like I mentioned, Dr. Esselstyn and Esselstyn's Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, and he has a cookbook attached. So if you want it, Forks Over Knives is the perfect entry point for anyone. If you want it, if you want to keep seeking and drilling down, if you just watch Forks Over Knives, it's not going to change you overnight. You have to do the thing. It's just a conduit for the information that isn't getting to you during the commercials of a football game. Or whatever, however else we passively get information, right? So we have to go actively seek some of this information. It doesn't get just voluntarily given up to us, like a lot of information we get in advertising and stuff, right?
Most information we get is marketing.
Right. When information comes to you without you asking for it, you should be skeptical.
Yeah.
Right? So we've all been told, that milk does the body good, and pork is, the other white meat, and beef is what's for dinner, and
the food pyramid from school.
Correct.
So it's
Right.
We've been taught wrong. All we have to do is relearn, but have an open mind and understand that there's hope.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I've learned that excites me the most, that there is hope. We don't have to go down this road that we're going down, and we don't have to do it. There's hope. We can change, and it's up to us.
We've seen the matriarch of our family die of congestive heart failure at 67 years old, right after her retirement, and they went on a trip to South America as a trip of a lifetime, and her and my grandfather looking forward to their retirement. She comes home from South America and never made it home from the airport. She went straight to the hospital. She was in cardiac arrest, and she never came home. And we know now the connection to the food, you know?
Yeah.
And those types of tragic things, if you let them be in your family's history, in your family's life, in recent memory, can really fuel you instead of derailing you and sending you into some black hole.
Right, and you don't have to just think, well, that's just the way it is.
Right.
You know, my husband lost a few people in his family, 3 people in his family this year, and they were, you know, all in their 60s, and they kind of have this attitude of, well, that's just the way it is.
It's the way it is down here.
You know,
it's not.
It doesn't have to be like that.
Right, and
We have more power than we think we do.
Right.
We have the power.
We have, like Dr. Esselstyn says, we have the locus of control.
Yeah.
And just realizing that you do have the control, whether or not you choose to leverage it is an entirely different thing. But we all have the control to avoid chronic disease and even reverse most chronic disease with a plant-based diet. And it's the saddest, biggest kept secret in the world, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I would just add too that, like he said, just keep an open mind, because you know, of course, we get asked all the time, if you don't eat meat, you don't eat dairy, what do you eat? And the answer is everything.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're so stuck on these foods, you don't realize how much you're missing out on. Like I said earlier, I eat way more, you know, variety. I eat a much wider variety than I've ever eaten before, you know, because you kind of open your mind up and start making new dishes and realize how many plants that you didn't even know existed or didn't ever even eat because you were grabbing the chicken breast instead or whatever.
Like, holy shit, purple sweet potatoes is amazing. I didn't even know they had such a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that funny? It's like back when I used to eat a standard American diet, it was like, when you think about it, you have a very limited amount of things that you eat. It's like pizza a couple nights.
Mainly what was marketed to you.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Mainly what was marketed.
And what my friend says, my friend Jason Cohen, which I love, he has this saying, and he says we basically ate different shades of beige foods. That's all that's what we eat in the South.
Right.
Everything's a different shade of beige. It's all beige.
Yeah.
And to eat a plant-based diet, it couldn't be a bigger opposite than that, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing it correctly, right? When you start getting beige, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, looking at your before and after picture, honestly, you all look like 10, 15 years younger. Do you feel younger?
Oh, yeah, I know I do, yes.
My 30s have been way better than my 20s.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm about to be I'll be 40 in April, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm 40? It just seems like an afterthought. It doesn't seem like a real thing, like it matters. Like, if I look back at my life and what I used to think life would be when I was 40, definitely wasn't this, right? And, I mean, it's crazy. It feels like it feels like a new lease on life. Like, oh, wow, I'm not going to be surviving the back 50 of my life, just surviving and maintaining like everyone else in the LaJaunie family. Like, from our grandfather, our great-grandfather, everyone died of a heart attack. My great-grandpa LaJaunie died of a heart attack. My dad's dad died of his 4th heart attack.
Wow.
My dad's younger brother, but very close to his age, he just died mysteriously at work. His heart just stopped beating at work one day, and there's really no one. We never really understood why.
Mm-hmm.
But as I go through this life now, knowing what I know, it could very have easily have been heart disease because he ate like we all ate, you know.
Yep.
And my dad's older brother had a stroke about probably 12 years ago. My dad had a massive heart attack just about 3 years ago. And so, you know, one could think, oh, well, it's genetic and it's inevitable. Or one could also think, well, because of this family history, I should really pay attention to the food a lot more, especially given the Ornish data. The Esselstyn data.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't things to dismiss. Be a pragmatist. Don't be so soft-minded that you're just going to dogmatically keep doing the same thing because it tastes good to you right now.
You're not going to hope the problem away.
Yeah.
Man, I hope this stuff
I
goes
wish
away.
and hope and pray. And, you know?
Let's do. Only do is going to stop.
Yeah. That's what people tell me all the time. I hope to run a marathon one day. I'm like, that is a terrible training plan. Hope is the worst training plan you could concoct.
That's for sure. So, first off, you know, very sorry to hear about the health issues in your family. Have you had or seen, you know, your influence on other people outside of the family as well? Friends, have they been supportive and coming to you for advice, or?
Yeah, of course. It's been fun, and it's hard to, because it's a tricky thing. Like, sometimes people I don't know. I don't want to ever take credit for what other people have done based on some information that I just gave them, because I give information to lots of people and they don't do jack with it, right?
Yeah.
But yes, we have shared information with close friends and other people in the family. And it's been really cool to see other guys that played football with us or that are from the bayou.
And I'll tell you what, the more success we have, the people that aren't asking questions, their ears are perked up.
Yeah.
And it's fun and it's interesting. And sometimes some of the people that do ask the questions just ask questions so they can shoot holes in your answer. Well, you see why I can't do it. Oh, this is why I can't.
Yeah, cars. My doctor said I can't have cars.
But I still answer the questions and still have the conversation, because eventually they'll start shaking off those excuses, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a ton of excuses. And as long as you're willing to lean on the excuse, there always will be an excuse.
Yeah, you can.
There's always an excuse.
There's always an excuse. You don't have to look hard for one.
Yeah.
And then when you're really serious about the excuse, you can really craft it into a reason, right? And then once you do that, then nobody can argue with your reasons. This isn't even an excuse. Excuses are just reasons that have graduated, kind of. You know?
Yep. And
graduate level excuses.
Right. Those are the dangerous ones. Those become habits and lifestyles.
That's exactly right. You know, we have. I could tell you some reasons that my brother and I had to stay on the path. And you know, one reason was my grandfather taught us all of this stuff. So there's a certain nostalgia to frying speckled trout perfectly, cooking a whole ribeye on a smoker perfectly, being able to make a seafood gumbo, boiled crawfish, you name it, right? So there's a good reason, like that family tradition, that keeping that thing alive.
Yep. Not
to mention the equipment associated with it. We have 25-gallon freaking jambalaya pots. We got crawfish boiling pots. We got rotisserie pits. We still have all of that stuff.
Sure.
So those are reasons. That's just further reasons that what you gonna do with all of that stuff?
It don't matter. What we're gonna do with our heart.
And so, but as we saw unfortunately, we watched our Bam, our grandfather, over the past 3 years, especially, just really wither away into just a shell of what he once was. Mm-hmm. Just this powerful, hulking human who was everyone's boss that we knew. When we were kids, I don't know about y'all, but when we were kids, I thought he was the boss of the world. No one would, Bam was in charge of everyone. And you see him go from that to literally us having to wipe his butt for him sometimes, right? And help clean up his bed because he had an accident, right? Mm-hmm. Or help him clean himself because he couldn't make it from the truck to the bathroom. And so you see that. And while it's tragic and it's very sad and it sucks to be a part of and it's frustrating, I think it was also something that was very palpable in our lives that helped us keep a finger on the pulse of why it's important to change our protocol. You know, we've seen our grandmother die. We just told you about all of those LaJaunies that we've experienced those problems with. And then to watch my grandfather die, and not all of a sudden he has a heart attack and dies sort of a way. He's too tough for that. He died slowly over, you know, really when you look back at it, over 20 years probably, right?
Yeah.
Just slowly progressing vascular dementia until you just basically forget how to stay alive. And that is the most fucking disgusting and terrible and evil thing to watch unfold you can imagine. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that you don't forget, right? And then especially if you're lucky enough to be sort of armed with the science and the data that really helps you understand how my Bam Bam got to where he was, how my Mama wound up dying of a heart attack at 67 years old. Like, I know what happened. You can debate all you want. I'm not debating that anymore, right? And so I'm going to latch on to this protocol and use my grandfather and my grandmother's deaths, untimely deaths, and miserable endings to be an impetus, be an example to use to really latch on to this protocol and not just save myself, but make sure that the people I love the most also understand the data in a way that makes them realize that we should be all doing this. And the people in my community, the people I run with, my friends, you know, this is important. This is important for the human race. This isn't important, right? This isn't important for fat people. This is important for the human race, especially the Americans.
Yeah.
That's kind of our silver lining that we've all told ourselves, that we were lucky that we got to be so overweight.
Right.
Because we could see the importance for change staring at us in the mirror. And there's so many people walking around that aren't overweight but are so unhealthy. But they don't have that image in the mirror staring back at them saying, hey, you need to do something. So I just try to find the silver lining in getting over 425 pounds it was that slap in the face that, hey, bud, you need to do something now. There's no faking around that you're healthy. Because, you know, this other guy that's walking around that's not overweight, he can fake it a little while longer because he doesn't look overweight. Knowing what I know now, there's tons of people that still aren't healthy that aren't overweight. So it's just kind of our silver lining that we took, you know.
And what happens, especially as a big person, you know, when an unwoke big person, right, who doesn't understand all of the things that we know about in our family and the stuff you know about, is so as a big person, you see a fit person have a heart attack and die, and you go, you see, doesn't matter, man. May as well live it up.
Right.
Yep.
It's like, bomb, wrong answer.
Because they had it wrong too.
And now I know why that fit person died, right? And it does matter, right? And so you can squash that yet another reason, right, to not adopt a different way that seems less awesome than the way you're currently doing stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important for especially people that have reached these points, such as, you know, you got to, you know, such a heavy weight, but a lot of people, you know, there's some people that will use that as an excuse, kind of like you mentioned earlier, and just let it control them. Or they can take it and use it in a positive way and improve their lives and improve the lives of their friends and family and communities and inspire people all over the world, over the internet, you know. So what you guys are doing is so important, and I'm just really glad that I was able to, you know, catch your before and after picture and share this story with people, because this is the type of stuff that people need to hear and just see it for themselves. That it's,
and look, you don't get to be 400 plus pounds in a vacuum. There's community support in that. There's acceptance of it. There's enabling, right? No one wants to bring that to the table, right? No one's like, hey man, I just wanted to talk to you. You know, I know, God, dog, what you got to be over 400 pounds now, my buddy? Aren't you worried about your health? That's never, and you would be offended, right? So it's just a tricky sort of thing. And as soon as you go, you know, plant-based people, all of a sudden now everybody's worried about your health, right?
Right.
All right, man, you look sick. You're losing a lot of weight.
Are you getting enough protein?
Are you getting enough protein?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I got a lot of that too.
The point was this: it took a community to build that old you.
Yeah.
Right? And for me and my brother, it took a community of ex-football players going to the deer camp and drinking whiskey till we threw up on ourselves and eating, you know, boudin and head cheese for breakfast and doing all of that stuff. But we didn't go and do that all on our own. We did it as a community. And it was you know, it's pretty ingrained and pretty entrenched in our psyche because of the community associated with it. So if we can develop community around this, then we can create a medium in which seedlings of people who are seedlings of change in their life can grow. A rich medium. So if we can have communities, and we have the power of the internet now to be able to do that stuff, and you don't have to have 10 or 15 friends in Podunk, Ohio, or wherever you live that get you to have a community around these new habits. You can do that with social media. There's tons of Facebook groups and things like that to be a part of that can really help support these behavior changes, which are crucial, right? Is that community support. So if you're doing it all on your own and you're like, I'm going to show everybody, I'm going to lose this weight right quick and use this, and it becomes like you can force weight off, but it's a whole different ball game when you're not avoiding being fat, and you're actually trying to be something, right? So when we go from being on the defense to being on the offense, instead of shielding ourselves from being fat, now we're on a charge forward to learning more and more and more about how to be authentically human, which is a real healthy state, right? Yeah. And so that's a whole different mindset. But again, having community around that and doing things like this and letting ourselves out there and being able to connect up with other like-minded individuals is huge, not only in our own lives, but in the movement itself for the human race, you know?
Yeah.
Especially for people here in Louisiana, we need it terribly. We need a plant-based diet terribly. We're suffering in an unnecessary fashion in large numbers in this state.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem is that everybody believes if we can't have these foods, then we can't have fun. It's such a connection to fun and enjoyment.
Yeah.
But all we got to do is relearn. That's what I'm trying to preach. We've just learned the wrong way. Just need to relearn. We can still have fun, still enjoy everybody's camaraderie, still cook, still get together and do things. We can just do it and live longer while doing it. And be happier and healthier. And
have a quality of life.
We just need to relearn. That's all.
Yeah.
And be brave enough to do it. Be brave enough to go against the grain, because you're going to go against naysayers. You're going to have people that's going to want to shoot holes in everything you're doing.
Yep.
But just be brave enough to look at the science, look at the facts, and then eventually look at your own results. Because it doesn't take long to start getting your own results. Then you become the lighthouse. Then you start walking it. You don't have to talk it. Just keep walking.
Because people come up to you and go, whoa, hey, what's going on? What you doing, bro? Right? I don't have to go around telling people shit. They coming to me and asking most of the time. Not that I don't go around telling people stuff, because I do. Because I'm passionate about it, and it's very important to me.
Yeah.
At the same time, people come to me all the time.
Yeah, I got that a lot. At first, it was resistance, and then after they see the results, then they come back asking questions. So
most of the time, quietly.
Yeah.
The resistance is loud.
Yeah.
But the creepy crawlback is quiet.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So
you
true.
know, I remember. I do want to talk to you about something, you know? But that's okay. That's okay.
Yep. Yeah, so what if somebody was gonna say, because I hear this a lot, is I can't afford that type of a diet. So,
Beans and potatoes and rice is the cheapest shit you can buy at the grocery store. Don't give me that. That's completely a non-starter.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, you're barking up the wrong tree. The only people that might have an argument is if you lived in a very poor community that was in a food desert, which they exist.
Yeah.
They exist. And there's awesome organizations that if you don't live in a food desert, I think you should really reach out and support, like Grow Where You Are, like Ron Finley, like these other organizations that are doing stuff like that in those food desert communities. But if you don't live in a food desert, which, dude, 90% of America does not live in a food desert. If you have a grocery store in your neighborhood, it's cheaper. You take your McDonald's budget and spend it on potatoes and rice and beans and grains and kale and bottled water. Stop buying the Coca-Cola and the Diet Cokes and the Nestea iced tea and the whatever the different powders that you buy to make water taste good. Just drink damn water.
Water.
Sparkling water. Do something. Just drink water.
yeah.
And so it's a non-issue. It really is. I spend so much less money on food these days than I used to. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
I would spend $200 on one dish on a Friday evening, and now I can take that $200 and I'm good for a couple of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's $200 that's heavily subsidized with the benefits of the farm bill, right? So meat should really cost us $40 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we're going and buying whole ribeyes or buying, several racks of baby back ribs and prepping. That should have been exorbitantly expensive so we wouldn't have been able, not so we wouldn't have, but it's just if it was really in an unadulterated market, that those things would be extremely expensive. But the farm bill subsidies really mitigate that end user cost and allow us to achieve a rate of consumption in these otherwise very expensive foods that are killing us.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks but no thanks on saving us money on the meat consumption.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating thing. That's our government putting money into the foods that are harming us and making the foods that we need more expensive, other than the fresh foods. You can get the beans and the rice and the potatoes cheaper, but those fruits and vegetables.
Not only that, but getting behind the marketing of them with government checkoff programs and all of the stuff that goes along with the farm bill, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's making there's no ad campaign for broccoli. Milk, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And that's an issue.
And someone said this to me one time too. I thought was pretty cool. And they had said it's like, look at it as investing in yourself or in your health or whatever. I mean, we do all these other things, but then we put cheap, crappy food in our bodies. Well, spend the extra money, put good food in your body, and be healthy. I mean, because what's the point?
Yeah, I know many people that put more money into keeping up their snowmobile or their car than they do on the worrying about their own body. The thing that's going to get them through life.
Right, or buy the cheap food, but spend a ton on the medications.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, buy the healthier food, and maybe you can get rid of a lot of these medications.
Yeah.
I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
Cool, guys. Well, do you have any last words, any advice or inspiration for the viewers?
Just for me, I would just say that, we have a saying here on the bayou, think long, think wrong, right? If you're thinking about it, do the damn thing. Just hop in and get some results, get some firsthand results for yourself, because they're so easily attainable. And then, once you see them, you can pick, do I want these results or do I want to just go back to the old way and take pills instead? It's completely optional in this world we live in. You can do that. And so if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do, and I can't help that. Then go ahead and do that. But if you're curious about it, you're not going to solve the problem in the abstract. We have to get into practical, and we have to do the thing and see for ourselves. And so I would encourage you to not think too long. Do it.
Right.
Yeah, I would say just do it. Just do it, because there's no pill that can make you feel as good as this will. And if you stick with it, it gets easier as you go.
Yeah.
You just have to break the cycle that you've been in your whole life. You need to break the mindset. You need to break the addictions to all of the fat and sugars and salts. You need to just break it and change your bacteria makeup in your gut. Yep. And as soon as you do that, it gets easier. Then you start feeling better. You feel alive. You feel like you have energy. You feel like you can move. Then you start craving those healthier foods. And then it enables you to do things like run. When I played high school football, I could not run 1 mile without stopping.
I couldn't run a 10.
And now I'm signed up for an ultra marathon in January. My first 50K. And I think that's a huge step. Yeah. Going from not being able to run a mile in high school to doing my first 50K at age 37. And, but I give it all to this way of eating and living and thinking. Because not only it was, my mind opened up to try the vegetables and try the whole food plant-based way. And because I tried it, it opened my mind up even more. That opened my thought up to trying other ways and to being more specific and to tweaking and to get more into it. Then I started becoming curious and wanted to educate myself on the why. Why does this work? And then once you look at it, it's like, no shit, man. Everybody needs to know about this. It is, in my opinion, and I've said this more than once, it is a real life fountain of youth.
Yes.
It is a real fountain of youth. Yep. Whatever ails you, if you're true to this lifestyle, it can fix you. Yeah. So, and that I'm just a believer in it, and I'm just still learning.
And it's not some hack. It's not some plant-based hack that humans have discovered. It's the default. It's what we have. It's what we've evolved to be. We are herbivorous animals, and if we behave in the way we were designed, lo and behold, we become less diseased, and we thrive. Holy shit!
It's a crazy concept,
right? Come on.
So overall, would you say best decision you've ever made?
Oh yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down.
I mean, because we come from a very large family, as you mentioned. Both of our all of our grandparents were very large. My mom was very large. We were all very large, as you know. And in the before picture that you saw, by the way, was not even close to our heaviest weight. So, but anyway, and we've all tried every diet under the sun. We've done the pills, we've done the fads, we've done everything. You name it, we've all done it. And nothing ever worked, or it did temporarily.
Right.
You know. So if someone is out there and they say, "Oh well, I'm thinking about going with this," it's just a temporary fix. If you want to find health and be able to weight loss that's going to last, then you have to.
Can't wait to lose this 50 pounds so I could go back to McDonald's. Right. That was the white. That was the.
I mean, I did it.
I know. I did the same thing. I can't wait
to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to treat myself with whatever food I've been craving.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. So, yeah, changing our minds is definitely, and adopting this lifestyle has definitely been the best thing. And I think as a unit, we've become a closer family, because I think our minds are just more clear and, things like that. And it's just, we've been.
That's my wife just walking in. We do a boot camp at our house on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's why we're all in workouts.
But we have a Saints game on Thursday night tomorrow, so we're doing boot camp on Wednesday. So it doesn't conflict with the Saints game.
There you go. Who do they play this week?
We have Atlanta in Atlanta. Ooh. Huge division game. Yes.
That'll be tough. Our Vikings just beat those guys.
Yeah, I know.
Minnesota's doing good, man.
Yeah.
I know Minnesota's doing really
Yeah,
good.
they're doing pretty good this year.
They're doing really good. They beat us first game of the season, that's for sure. So
I think we might see them again in the postseason.
I think we'll see Minnesota again.
It's very likely, yeah.
Yep. So it's heating up to be a really cool season for the Saints.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys are heating up, and you're inspiration to change people's minds and change people's lives. So that's awesome as well. And I mean, really, I just want to thank you guys again. This was an awesome interview. So much information here that people can really take and apply to their own life. And the other thing that came to my mind as you guys were speaking was kind of like you mentioned earlier as well, is that people think that you came from a big family, so that's it's you inherit it. They think that it's heredity, and it is clearly not the case. You guys are proving that. It really is just that families eat the same way, so they continue to have these same results. So thank you.
It's not the genes, it's the recipes.
Yes, right. Exactly. So thank you for proving that to the world, and thank you for sharing the story with my viewers, and keep doing what you're doing, and I hope to follow up with you guys down the road and see how you're doing again.
Oh man, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's an honor.
Glad to. All right, guys. So, and also, do you guys have any social media or anything that you promote this stuff or not?
Hey, you can find me on with my name, Josh LaJaunie, Josh LaJaunie, LaJaunie. And if you just Google me, you can find my website, and you can follow. I'm very active on Instagram. Instagram's my favorite thing to do.
Cool.
And they're on Instagram and Facebook as well, Cassie.
I'm Cassie LaJaunie Harrington.
Okay.
So, and then I also have a page called Planted Parenting for that I started for just put stuff on there about because I have a 2-year-old son, and we're raising him plant-based, and so
awesome.
I put a lot of stuff on there about things that we go-to things for him and stuff like how do we deal with daycare, just things like that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, I will put the links to all those in the description box of this video so people can go check it out. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comment box, and we'll be looking at those, and we'll get back to you. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining me, and we will see everybody in the next video. Always follow your raw intuition.
Awesome.
Peace, guys.
Thank you.
Detoxify your mind and body. Be the change you want to see. Small steps towards living better. Small steps to where I want to be.